Guilty. Mr. Dick Jerardi, Mr. Mike Kern, battling colds. Can you believe they didn't come today without a
He's
hat?
coughing. Look at him coughing.
See? No,
Put your hat on. Give me my hat.
Get your hat right over
put
and
it
your
on.
scarf. Hey, Keita, can you help me with this?
Yeah,
you
give me my
John wants
cap.
his scarf and his hat.
It'll fit him. He's got a big head anyway. Get it. Come here.
Keita Carey right here, making her Christmas Eve appearance.
Give me
my
that
hair,
hat.
John.
There you go, Keita.
Yeah. Give me that hat.
Okay, no, they need it for Mike.
Yeah. Put that hat on your head. You know what I mean?
Did you see Bill Conlon after the show, Bill?
I didn't see him. I
He
never
wore a
saw
hat
him.
the entire show because
I'm going to strip him the next time.
Now look at Jerardi.
Now that looks. Try to remember this. Just think all throughout
That's a good
your
look,
life.
Mike. That's a good look.
But seriously though, think about it. All of you guys. Think about throughout your life, how many times, if you look back at your life, you think how many times that your mom and your pop gave you or made a decision on your behalf. Yeah. Think how many times they were wrong. If you followed them, you were not in any trouble at all. That's why you are where you are today. And that's where the problem is today. That they don't listen. They don't listen anymore.
My kids don't listen. I've noticed. Yeah.
No, they're not going to listen, and they're going to get in trouble.
Well, a little.
Unless
John, when
you're
does
a
that
bad
start?
father.
John, when does that start? If I have a 3- and 5-year-old, so at what point do I instill that discipline that you're instilling on your? When does it start?
Well, you have to start that culture because all of our leaders, for somehow, just don't create the kind of atmosphere that's proper anymore. So you better start very early.
All right, I did.
You know what I mean?
But
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
In your life, there's more don'ts than there are do's. Think about it. How many times did your mom or your pop say, don't do this? And if you did it, you were in trouble. Mm-hmm. There's more don'ts in your life. Don't chase a ball between two parked cars. I mean, you know, John Dewey, not the Dewey that did the decimal system in the library. I'm talking about John Dewey, the father of education. Mm-hmm. He said you learn by doing. But damn it, if you got to learn from doing everything, you're going to wake up and find yourself dead.
Well, you
got to learn from somebody telling you not to do something.
Listen like they did 20 years ago?
They have to experience it before. That's the unfortunate part about it. Don't touch that stove. Walk out the door and you hear somebody hollering and scream, ow! Touch the stove.
Yeah, but I don't think that's any different. I remember as a child. I mean, I think I always had to learn. Is it worse?
I think.
You think it's worse?
Of course it's worse because your world then was within a couple of blocks.
Yeah, everything's more complicated.
Your world was within a couple of blocks. Mm-hmm. Now your world is many blocks. It's another world. You're on TV. I tell the guys, I can think further than you can run. They don't understand. I said, I'm in Europe right now because I'm thinking about it. They said, how'd you get there? I'm thinking about it. They think that you can be someplace just like that because of television, because, there's so much information. And the kids I lived within a block, 17th and Ellsworth. The furthest I got was 16th and Wharton around the street to Barrett Schoolyard and back. That was my world. When I got up here on Market Street to go to the Earl Theater, my God, I was robbed. You know, because I was looking at the buildings like a country boy. And guy says, hey, how about letting me have a nickel? I said, well, I'd pull out 20 cents. The guy says, oh, instead of a nickel, I'll take it all. I was robbed. I should have stayed home in my neighborhood on my block. Would have been good. That would have been good. You know, there was a bubble out Buddha there, but he wasn't going to rob me.
You know, the man has a lot of wisdom, does he not? You know what? I want to take a look at the board. For those who are not familiar with the lengthy bio of John Chaney, but you're going to be 73 next month. 73, and you have just such a tremendous history in the game of basketball.
Are they going to boo you on your birthday again?
Yeah, they always boo me. Yeah, because I'm always losing. So I reach a stage right now where I'm losing games that they think I should win, you know, but I can handle it.
Here's the John Chaney bio, 23rd season at Temple, and he just experienced another milestone in his career the other day, and of course the highlight there is the 2001 Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame inductee. But the NCAA tournaments, the winningest coach in Temple history, and the list goes on and on. We needed to pay. I love the Harlem Globe, 1955 Harlem Globetrotters. What was that memory like?
Well, it was a tough memory, and You know, you traveled.
Was that for fun? Was that team with the Harlem Globetrotters we know today, or was that serious basketball back then?
Well, during that time they had three teams. They had a Northern Division, a Southern Division, and they had the college guys into the Southern. I had Woody Salisbury with me, Andy Johnson, who played with the old Warriors during that time, and of course I came in when Goose and the other guys had gone, and it was just. The new clown came in. I can't think of it. Meadowlark. That's when I was at Meadow. All of us were college guys coming in.
Were you on Meadowlark's team? Or on that? Was he on your
with that
particular
group? Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, I felt that I was in trouble because we weren't getting paid at that time. Not enough money. And that's when Stan Novak and Jerry Rulo called me when I was out in Chicago and said, hey, you could come back, you could teach school, which I started teaching, and you could play in Eastern Pro League. So that means you could double dip. Then I could make some money on the weekends playing, and then teach during the week. And that's when Wally Jones and Walt Hazard and that group was in school during that time. And that's when I came back and started teaching school and playing ball in the Eastern Pro League, and gave it up because I didn't like the idea that they were clowning. You know, the referees travel with you. You choreograph. Everything was choreographed then. The guy put a ball on top of your head, and they'd take it off, and you smash at it. And guy come with a bucket of graffiti. Then they wanted you to trick people with the ball. Well, I could trick you, but I had to do that naturally. I just couldn't go down and get on my knees and dribble and do all that stuff. I didn't like that. I wanted to play for real. I didn't want to play. They played the Washington Generals, Atlantic City Seagulls, Red Clots, I think his name was. All those teams were like, they belonged to Ace. That was
You couldn't deal with the fact that the games weren't competitive.
I just couldn't.
You needed to be in a game where winning and losing mattered.
The only time they played legitimate is when they played the All-Stars, the college All-Stars,
right.
And they would play the NBA teams like Minneapolis, which they beat them a couple times with Mike and those guys. And then they then they combine the teams and take the best players and take them to Europe and that kind of thing. But I didn't stay around long enough for that. So
Wilt played a year on the Globetrotters too, right?
Wilt played a year. There was a girl that played a year because see, Wilt went into college during the time it was territorial drafts. Try to remember, Gottlieb was responsible for sending him here and sending him to where? Fog Allen at Kansas at that time. And he stayed there for a year until Lenny Rosenbluth beat them from Carolina. They beat them in a championship. And that's when he went out with the Trotters because you couldn't draft you unless you were within the territory. Kansas was part of the Warriors. Only had about, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams? So he was the Warriors' territory. And that's why he went with the Trotters for a spell, and then later on he came here.
And now we're talking 1,000 games you have coached.
That's just in college. You know, if you count
The junior high school,
in
and
junior high school and Eastern League, it's probably about 1,700, John.
Yeah, I coached everything. I coached gymnastics, just about everything in junior high school, and also taught math, history, and everything else. When I was subbing around the town, we went to Thomas Junior High, Salzburger, before I was permanent. And you had to pass the test then, a phys ed test. You had to pass it, but you had to pass at that time before you could teach and become permanent. And then you had to take 6 credits in history, in Pennsylvania history, before you could be considered a full-fledged teacher. Other than that, you was just long-term or part-time. Well, I took the phys ed test. Well, you had to pass the practical, and the practical was you had to climb the ropes, and you had to do have to have a routine on the horse, and you had to have a routine on the parallel bars and all that stuff. I almost broke my neck one time trying to do what they call an iron cross, trying to prove something to people. And then you had to pass a class in dancing, and you had to pass also 4 strokes in swimming and save a guy. And a guy named Lou Moore, who's a principal now. Oh, Lou Moore. They
threw Calipari in the water and
I took him to lunch. He was supposed to help me. So I had to jump in the water. You know, you got to jump in the water and approach the guy from the rear and boost him up, because if you try to approach him from the rear, he might grab you. So you had to do all of these things and boost him up and then pull him in here like this, right? But he was like a log. I started swallowing water, so I just put my hands on top and climbed out of there. I said, "The hell with you, Lou." So I failed the test. 69 and 5/10. They never gave me 70. I made 100 on the basketball part, but 65 and 5/10. 69 and 5. They never gave me 70. 3 times I had to take the test before Braverman or somebody passed.
And you're still remembering that to this day.
Yeah. Jasner was in my class at Old Brook, you know.
Wow.
Because he was there during those golden years when they had great athletes at that time, you know. But man, there was some storied things. Vernon Young and all those guys.
You coached there, John. You told me it was gymnastics, right? You either won the title, or
no, I didn't win the title. Because I had a kid that, see, when you're teaching gymnastics, you got to also teach the kids how to come off of a piece of apparatus so you can give him help. He's got to have a spotter with him all the time, whether it be mats or rings, ropes, whatever. And this kid, I never will forget him. He come off the doggone thing. He don't need a spotter. He comes off the wrong side, and they took points off of him, you know.
John, you have a unique way of coaching basketball. Nobody else in America coaches it like you do. Where did you learn it, and why did you decide to do it that way?
Well, you know, I came up in an era where you had some great coaches here. Most of those guys went on to the NBA, but I came up in this city learning basketball from the great ones. You know, when you go back to Severance and Kraft, they had the ball zone out at Villanova. And they used that. I don't know which one played John Wooten for the championship that year.
That was Jack Kraft.
And with Porter and the other guy from Florida. Raveling had recruited those kids. And but I learned it from them. I learned a little bit about the 3-2 zone from our guy at Temple, Harry Litwack, and then you figure some of the other guys that were around with Ramsey over St. Joe with his pressure defenses during that time. All those guys went on. And then the Gamecocks with McGuire, who came here and later on coached the Warriors at one time. But he was from South Carolina. And you know, you put together a little history on each one of those guys, and they were winners. And you can't get around trying to follow guys who were winners.
But John, as the game has changed, you never have. You've always stayed the same. And why? I mean, why have you always done it your way?
I think your underpinnings is basically what you stand on. Try to remember, even if you got a business, how you start is how you finish. You're going to always fall back on a contract. Even this job that you guys work, you fall back on how were you hired? What conditions were you hired on? And you're going to live and die with that. A guy can't come in and, well, maybe you, a guy could come in and shortchange you and say, wait a minute, you promised, on the contract it says, well, we're changing your salary to X. You say, wait a minute, we agreed on this. In basketball, you try to follow some thumb rules. And the thumb rules from some of the great ones has never, ever changed. There's always a fiber that runs through all of those guys. Discipline. That's extremely important. Discipline doesn't mean that somebody punishes you. It means doing something in a very orderly and structured manner, making sure that somebody follow some of the thumb rules. Point guard, making sure that you always have not a guard as a guard as a guard, but somebody who's in charge. That's where our problems are today. We have the wrong people in charge from top government down. Into sports, we look at the problems we're having. All of it stems from somebody not in charge. Our children, there's nobody in charge. Lock the kids. Kids are out in the streets. Where's your mom? 80% of all my youngsters or more has come from one-parent families and less. So when you look at that and you put basketball in the same context, you look at it from the standpoint of thumb rules. And roles, what role are you going to play? What's your role? What's your role in your house? What's the role of your kids in your house? I mean, the worst ass whipping I ever got is I didn't clean up my room, and therefore I went and slept in my sister's room because her room was neat. Well, that was the wrong place. I was supposed to be in my room, not in her room. There's an order. We're all in the same house, but there's a different room in the house. What's your role in that house? What are the rules that you live by? And taking responsibility. So you're talking about those 4 R's. One I didn't mention, and that's the biggest one of all, respect. Roles, rules, responsibility, and respect. That's what you need more of. And kids will follow you. I got kids on campus right now. They're not allowed to get in cars, go in cars. They're not allowed to leave the campus. I had them there so tired today that they get on the phone, call them now. They better be in the bed, sleeping. Ready for practice again tomorrow on Christmas Day.
That's a good thing you won that game then the
But
other night.
structure is so important and discipline is so important. I learned that from those guys that I just mentioned to you. And you can wake them up at any time and they'll say, attention. And you better stand at attention.
Tell you what, let's take a time out. We'll take our first break with John Chaney. It is our Christmas Eve show. We've been doing it now for 8 years. How about a little Frank Sinatra? We're going to talk a little bit about Sinatra later on. Yes, we will get to that. But coming up next, he loves politics, loves to talk about it.
Don't miss
Strap yourself in. We're going to be talking about George W. Bush with John Chaney when we come back.
With somebody else.
Before I begin, 'cause I've got you. Now this man here.
And a little season's greetings to all of you from us here at Comcast Sportsnet and Dodge Daily News Live
Down the right path,
on this Christmas Eve.
righteousness.
Little Frank Sinatra. All right, let's go to our poll question. All right, John, here's our question for everybody at ComcastSportsNet.com. If John Chaney had not gone into coaching, teaching, he would have been, here are the options for the viewers at home. A, ear, nose, throat doctor. A tie salesman. A drill sergeant. A wine connoisseur. Or a public relations director. You like any of those options?
No, I would have been a tyrant. I really would have.
Well, then you could have been a drill sergeant. That would have maybe fit in there a little bit.
You need to be a leader.
A leader?
You need to
Well,
be
drill
in
sergeant's a
charge.
leader.
No,
He's in charge.
I know, but he's somebody's over him. I want to be the president.
You want to be the president?
Yeah.
All right, let's
so I can take our ass out of Iraq. Now, like Reagan took us out of Lebanon.
Right.
He's a Republican. He was smart enough to say, let's get our ass out of there. When all those people were killed in Lebanon, this fool we have in there now, that you probably voted for.
I did.
I know, because you vote for your pocket. Mm-hmm. You vote because of money, and that's unfortunate. The other people voted because of religion. They were religious zealots. But the graveyard is filled with people who lived a long time. The problem that we have now, we having young people that are dying now that never had a chance to live. I mean, really live. And we're just going merrily on our way on Christmas without pausing and saying to ourselves that there are people that are dying because the guy lied about dying. He lied. And how could anybody vote for? That's what saddens me about this country today. Clinton lied about sex. This guy lied about dying. I mean, you can't tell me that you could elect a guy. Never in the history of this country has it been done. This is the first time it's been done. And I'm sad about people in this country that will put a guy back in office with all of the mistakes that he's made. All the mistakes he's made. He and his troops, he and his guys, Rumfield and the other Condoleezza Rice and the rest of those nuts in that office, put this guy in office, and the religious zealots who took a moral high ground. Here's a guy who did not rescind a sentence when he was governor of Texas out of 175 people, and yet he's got the nerve to talk about he's a right to lifer, and yet every one of those guys was sent to death in Texas, and now he's sitting here telling people that he's doing the right thing. He mixed terror with a war where there was imminent danger. Iraq was no imminent danger. They couldn't even beat Iran.
Yeah, I was always worried the Iraqi Armada was going to sail across the Atlantic and attack us. Yeah, John, we've talked. You and I have spent a lot of time talking about it.
Now, John, I think let me just give you just a counterpoint thing. If what we've discovered in Iraq at this point, and the problems under the Saddam Hussein regime, where we find these mass graves and things like that, this country.
What about Rwanda?
You're right. I
But
agree
see,
with
the
that.
argument that you're making...
That's not what they sold us on, Neil.
See,
That's
they
not
didn't
what they
sell
told
us on that. They sold us on weapons of mass destruction. That's what you bought. Hook, line, and sinker.
Well, but now that other things are discovered, so you say so what?
We got tyrants all over the world. Here's the other thing that you got to realize. Right now, we're trying to preach and teach that we're going to bring democracy to a world like Iraq, where there's three factions: the Kurds, the Shiites, and who else?
Sunnis.
Sunnis. There's no way. Their religion is their politics. You can't go in there and teach somebody democracy where their religion is their politics.
It's a culture we don't understand.
And then we argued about, well, we went in there. How could you tell people that you didn't go in there for oil when you go in there to save the lives of people, and not tell them the same thing that we didn't do for Rwanda? Millions of people died there. Was it because they were black? Why didn't we go there?
I agree with that.
So was it oil versus black? I don't understand it. And this country's supposed to take a moral high ground.
You know what?
The man has hopped and skipped and danced from one place to the other. And you bought it. Look what you just said to me. You voted for him because weapons of mass destruction. You didn't vote him to go in there and save those people.
No, I didn't say that.
He took, that's what you asked me.
No,
Your question is more important
no,
than
I'm
my
saying
answer.
now that we've discovered these issues that are there, you don't see
No, so
the
now
value
you're
of,
right after you've killed thousands and thousands of Iraqi kids, innocent kids. Wait until the word comes out. And the news media won't even print it right. Look at it. They won't even let you cover the graves coming back. I mean, cover our own soldiers coming back
Kids come
here.
back into Dover Air Force Base, they wouldn't
You're
let
not
them- they wouldn't
allowed
let
to
them
even
shoot it.
cover it.
yeah, when those pictures got out,
Right,
it was a
they
big
went
uproar
crazy.
about
And now
it.
It's almost like
how is it ever going to end, Neil?
Yeah, and what you
It's
did-
never.
It's never going to end.
Never going to end.
And eventually, at some point, they're just afraid to admit they were wrong.
Yeah, what
You
the
just
people-
admit you're wrong,
Yeah,
but
what-
they won't admit they're wrong. You know, and we can sit here and argue for hours, but it's not going to end. And now the thing is, well, we can't teach the Iraqis how to fight. Well, you
Can't.
You got armored car. He's got a player on his team whose father's over there doing these things. And now that you're fighting a war and you find out that the trucks aren't plated right, and Rumsfeld, they just say, well, you know.
Listen, I just talked with Speedy Marshall. We were talking about this. This is a war of soldiers who volunteered. This is a volunteer army. But they're the guys who are
Now
supposed to be here. But no.
it's a draft.
Yeah, but they're the guys, that's the hop, skipping, and dancing that your president has done. My point is that what happened here is these are guys that are supposed to go in and construct and build bridges. This is the National Guard. They only go and spend 1 week in every 6 months or whatever, and they're going to teach the other guys how to fight when they don't know how to fight themselves. Come on, man. We got over 1,400 of our young people that's been killed. And we're talking about going in there and saving people or getting, well, we got Saddam. Where's bin Laden?
Yeah, what I would suggest
How
to
do we
people...
hop and skip out of Afghanistan? Afghanistan, which was the person who attacked us. This guy didn't attack us. Plus the fact, let's listen to this.
But you
Imagine you being...
But you still like Neil, though, even though he's a Republican,
No,
right?
I don't like Neil no more. Look, suppose you are Saddam, okay? And I tell you a month ahead of time, we're coming in to kill you. We're coming in to get you, okay? You got weapons of mass destruction. You got poisonous gases. And I walk into Iraq and you don't come out with sprays on my ass? What was it? You know you're going to die. Wouldn't you use it? Wouldn't you use it?
Yes.
Well, Saddam didn't use it. He crawled in the hole.
Well, you know what? I think I think that caught everybody off guard. I
Come
think,
on, man.
and think also based on the first war, how certainly there's been issues of where soldiers have come back with some kind of ailment.
Yeah, but they
from what
always
went on
come
in
back
the first,
from war,
in the first war.
from some ailment. Man, orange, whatever they call it. They always, every war. I had an uncle that was in a war. I had people, friends of mine, cousins that went into the Vietnam War. They came back with all kinds of stuff. You're going to come back going into other people's countries, but you're trying to hedge and fudge. Why don't you just say that you were wrong? Say
No,
it.
I firmly
So
believe.
you'd vote for him? You did vote for him
Absolutely.
twice.
Absolutely.
You are
What
stupid.
the people need to do,
You
John.
are dumb.
What-
You are dumb, and that's why this country
But
is where it is
you've always
today.
said that about me.
I know, but you're dumber now. I mean, you don't make the same mistake twice. Looking at people dying, you're saying that you were right? You just sound like Bush.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And these moral high ground people who got the nerve to be worried about gay marriages and all the other stuff, and our kids are dying. That saddens me on this day. And I'm going to be sad as long as I live, knowing that that guy's in office. I'm telling you, that's the worst thing. Not only that, the whole world is threatening us by what they think about us, and that's worse. Never in the history of this country have you found other countries thinking about us the way they think about this country now.
Well, the only, and we'll end on this note, the only thing is that this country's now a superpower unlike any superpower has ever been in
You
this
don't
world.
know that. But see, you can be superpower with weapons and all this other stuff, but you lose a great deal when you lose the vote of confidence in you being a superpower. That is more strength in that. I mean, you're talking to a choir. This man don't have a choir anymore.
Well,
Everybody done ran from the hills. You done lost about 13, 14 people. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm telling you right now, here is the other thing that you fail to understand. He's now trying to change the dynamics of our court, of the Supreme Court. His father put a guy in there that was a disgrace because he replaced Thurgood Marshall. He put a black neck, and I don't call him a redneck, he's a black neck, that he put in there to replace one of the greatest Supreme Court justices in the history of this country. Now he's trying to put more in there, more of them in there, so he can change the women's right to choose. Are you in favor of that? Or you didn't think about that, putting him in there?
well, right now you're just assuming what's going to happen.
No,
because
I'm not
nothing's happened
assuming.
at
I
this
just saw it on CNN today, where he's going to send back the same 12 names back to the Judiciary Committee again, and with Specter is on it.
point. All right, tell you what we're going to do. Was that a good political segment? Did you enjoy that
You
segment?
still like Neil, though, don't you?
No, I
he
don't like
doesn't
Neil no more.
No, he doesn't.
I don't like him.
He's going to move away. Here's what we're going to do. We're
I
going
want
to talk.
my mother.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit
Should
about.
I like you? I want to take a vote.
Joe Paterno, staunch Republican, and
29.
and
I
Kobe
don't
Bryant.
like Joe anymore.
We're going to talk about those two individuals when we come back on the 8th anniversary of our Christmas Eve show with John Chaney. Merry Christmas, everyone.
That's why the only person I love is Speedy. I don't like anybody else.
Every
Joe
time
Speedy.
I see done.
Oh, we have a loving crew here today. Everyone just talking so highly about one another.
How we get that 100
It's so
bucks into that?
peaceful
Into that
and so festive to be here with my close personal friend John Chaney, who I've known for 15 years, and now he's moving even further away from
He
me.
did play-by-play for you guys one year? Can you believe that?
If I had known that he was Republican, I'd have had him out of here.
We have here in the background, let's go back to that graphic of John Chaney. We heard earlier about how, obviously he's done so much at Temple, but the career long before he ever got to Temple with Sarah Junior High School and Simon Gratz High School and the Chaney State days, and now Temple since 1982. And just on Monday night against Princeton became the 19th Division I coach to win 1,000 games.
No, Coach 1,000.
1,000.
He hasn't
What
won
did I say?
1,000 yet.
Oh, they say win what? No, coach 1,000.
Fifth active.
Fifth active.
Fifth who's still
There you go.
coaching.
And that graphic did say win, didn't it?
Yeah, it meant
Okay.
coach.
Okay. meant
Only Herbie's going to reach 100 wins, right, John?
Yeah,
Herbie's going to get there.
Oh yeah, without question.
Herb McGee from
he's
Philadelphia
Closing on
University.
800, I believe.
he's another
And he's gonna coach for
cornerstone in
another-
this. He's a cornerstone in this area.
Coach for he's going to outlast you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He should have been coach somewhere. Joey Goldenberg. Those guys should have been coaches at this level.
What's your take on, 3 days ago, Joe Paterno?
coaches.
3 days ago, Joe Paterno turned 78 years old. We talk about him a lot because there's a lot of parallels between what you've been able to accomplish in your career, his career, and all the criticism he took this year. And I know we've talked about this in past years, but here he gets the #1 recruit in the country 2 days ago from Maryland. He's got the #1 defensive back in the country coming to Penn State. He seems like he's working harder now than he ever has. When you're at that age, and things have not gone well, and you've had your share of difficulties in the last few years as well, from what you were used to back in the early 90s.
He's only winning 18 games a season now.
Remarkable, isn't it? But do you rally the troops? Do you kind of really refocus on what you're doing if you're a guy like Joe Paterno?
I think there are two areas where you have to be really concerned about. One is when you're recruiting at the early stages of your life. Very often the other coaches recruit against you. They'll talk about the fact that you're too young, or you're not going to stay there very long. Even when like when Rick Pitino was at Providence, don't go to Providence because he's looking to move on, and which he did. And then when you get older, the other coaches recruit against you also, and it hurts. It's not Joe Paterno's great players as he once had before, as he once had at one time. He doesn't have the players anymore. But what has helped him is all of this exposure on television about Joe should go. Just look what you just said. All of a sudden now he's getting two great players, and he's probably going to get some more for next year, all because of exposure. The television is the greatest agent that you have. And sometimes if you spell a guy's name right, you can talk about him for forever. I remember one time we had a youngster who hung himself on Chaney State's campus. And we hadn't seen a camera since we'd won the NCAAs in '78, Division II. And all of a sudden, we had cameras from everywhere. CBS. And our president, God rest his soul, he passed away, Dr. Wade Wilson, running around and says, make sure you spell the name right. It's not John Chaney's Chaney. It's not C-H-A-N-E-Y. It's C-H-E-Y-N-E-Y. Just spell my name right. He says any news is good news.
Well, what about Dick? I mean, you're up there all the time. You're close to that Penn State program.
I think what John says is right. I hadn't thought of it in exactly the way he said it, but I think just the fact that there's been so much publicity, and I think the appeal this time around is there's a whole group of kids, and they have some great recruiters up there, Tom Bradley being foremost, the defensive coordinator. They're appealing to these kids, saying, hey, we were once great, why don't you all come back and make it happen again? And that's what this kid Derek Williams said, and the support and the facilities, they have it all. I mean, they can come back fast.
Great fans.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that the coach has some old-fashioned ways, not unlike Coach Chaney here. He sticks to what he believes in. There's some things he needs to modernize, like John's eventually going to let me run his offense for him, and we'll put in an offense.
He doesn't play man-to-man. He won't play man-to-man.
And I'll let him play man-to-man. But that's really what needs to change up there. But John is absolutely right. I think all the publicity, even though it was, quote, negative, kids said, hey, we can play.
The worst thing that can happen to you is when people don't talk about you.
Yeah.
I'm convinced of that. When you fall off the map, like just to use an example that we might understand, when Raleigh went to Cleveland State, and after a while, nobody knew where Raleigh was, what he was doing.
Like
and it would have been better if people were, even if it was in a bad way, talking about him, because once people forget about you,
apathy is the worst thing of all.
Well, the one thing, though, now let's switch gears to the NBA and the awful brawl that we experienced between the Pacers and the Pistons, and all the aftermath of what happened here with Ron Artest and company. What was your take on that situation?
I just think sometimes, like Plato says, sometimes you get what you deserve. Same thing as like the president. We getting what we deserve for putting him back in office. Same thing in sports. We're getting what we deserve. We're buying bad behavior. We buy it. We accept it. We applaud it. We applaud it.
You mean on the court or in the stand, both?
I'm talking about the players, the fans. I'm talking about sports people. We got jobs because guys represent stories. I mean, you guys are in this business. At one time, there was only 2 or 3 people in this business. There was no sports casting other than 2 or 3 writers in this business.
Right. Not all sports, like radio and television now.
It's grown so much. It's run to the corporate level. It's gotten away from the kids. Give you another example. Give you a better example. If sports was affordable, where people could bring their kids to a game, any game, basketball, football game, if it was affordable. Like in the old days, we were a knothole gang. We'd come to a baseball game, man, we could get 6, 7 innings, bam, we were right down front. Right next to third base, those seats were empty, go take them. Convention hall, we'd run down, if you better be good now, we'd go in and sit underneath the basket and watch the Celtics come in, playing the old Warriors. But a parent bringing his kids is not apt to show off and act bad in front of his kids. But you got parents in there that's acting like nuts. You got players who are also looking at fans and hating them, disliking them. In this city, we applauded the fact that we had in the stadium here a judge, Shameless or somebody?
Shameless McCaffrey.
Shameless in the bowels of the stadium.
They don't do that anymore, John. They don't do that anymore, just so you know.
No, because right now they're so far away. I mean, what are they going to do? These guys love the old stadium. The 700 level, you had guys urinating on people. Guess what? The fans and the news people all day long. Oh, we're not that bad. We're not bad. Denials. You are buying that. You're buying bad behavior. We're paying for it in every step, in every aspect. We have developed a culture that's irretractable. You cannot overcome this now.
I want you to talk about Kobe, because you remember Kobe.
Let me finish one other point.
Go ahead. Yep.
I said this long time ago. You got security people in the stands, okay, who see these people. They can't do anything about them. They see them. What pals to them? You hire a security guy and give him a $2 camera and let him take a picture of that jackass and take him to court.
Well, that's what they do. Security-wise, they do that. At Eagles games, there's
I'm
the
talking about, I don't know if any security guy got a camera.
No, insurance people actually, I know in Veterans Stadium, because I did a story on it, the insurance people up there with cameras, when they see a altercation, they take still pictures of what's, or video.
That will help quite a lot, but that's not going to change the overall attitude of fans who buy bad behavior.
Can it ever change?
I don't think so.
Yeah, the information is so private now, people all of a sudden think they're part of it. They actually, because they're paying so much for these tickets, it's almost like people feel like they have a right for their team to win, or if things aren't going, the coach isn't doing what they want, they can act out badly. And, there's certainly a minor percentage of it, but there's more than ever.
Thinking they raised the ante in terms of entertainment. It's no longer great to see what Princeton does. You got to put the ball between your legs, bring it out of your mouth and dunk it.
Hey, John,
you got to hang on the rim and do 12 push-ups.
That's what gets you on SportsCenter.
But it also, the fans are buying that.
No, you're right. They absolutely are.
When I remember when we were in the Final Eight, one of the 5 times we were there in Seattle, and they had a big article where I said about Fisher. He had the Fab Five when they beat us to go on to lose to Carolina up there. I can remember saying this, and I can show you letters that I got from kids say, Coach, you talked about our players. I said, there's no way I'm going to have a basketball player go up and dunk a ball and stand over a kid and point to him underneath my crotch. And that's what those guys were doing. They applauded it, and guess what? They promoted them, and now they're in the NBA.
And the whole thing was a fraud, as it turned out. Guys were getting paid, and the whole thing was a shame.
Absolutely.
Let me get back to Kobe now. And Kobe, I mean, here's a young man that you followed, when he was a young player, and now to see the troubles that he's gone through, and we'll find out tomorrow, Christmas Day, when it's a meeting with Kobe and Shaq, and the animosity between those two. Give me your feelings on Kobe and how he's developed into a person and a player.
Well, one of the things is, I don't know, between here and there, and then and now, it's very difficult for me to put a handle on what's happened to him. I don't think he was the Kobe that I once knew, that his father and his grandfather had in his arms, him coming up to Temple playing in those games, and me talking with him before they went to Europe and lived there for so long. But I don't know what has happened to him. I really don't. I really don't.
Are you saddened by it?
Well, in a way, but I just think that we can't. I've heard people say, well, they shouldn't draft the guys out of high school. Well, you don't draft out of high school, they draft the guys from Europe. How you gonna change that? So you're never gonna change it. It's a business. So you draft them as young as you can. You know, they do it in tennis, they do it in. So I don't know. That's a question I really don't know.
John, you know what? He looks like
what's
a kid.
taking place in here.
He almost looks like a kid. You know, he left here at 17, 18 years old out of Lower Merion High School, and everybody that you talked to that knew him back then has nothing but great things to say about him. Then he had problems. He had issues with his family where he became estranged from his parents. And he looks like, even to this day, he's a kid that's never really matured at any level because he couldn't. He had no time to do it. And he is dying for some kind of figure above him to say, hey, Kobe, this is the right way to do things. And unfortunately, that person apparently does not exist in his life right now.
He stepped into so many holes, made so many mistakes. Yeah. I heard him the other day on the interview. Right. It just seemed like he was trying to say.
He wants to say the right thing, and doesn't even know how.
But he don't know how. Yeah. And it's very difficult. I want to reach out to Shaq or whatever, but they're playing mind games, and the mind games turn into a real mind. It blows up.
Well, I heard Magic Johnson say, you know, he should be calling out to me. I'd like to help him. There's a lot of people that want to help him. All right, John, when we come back, we're going to talk a little football. Terrell Owens, been a big story here in Philadelphia. We're also going to do what we do every year. It's Flash Frame, where we show him a picture. But T.O., Nicolette Sheridan, the whole Monday Night Football Open, we're going to get John's take on that as we continue 8th Annual Christmas Eve Show with Temple's head basketball coach. We'll be right back.
And only happen in a town like this.
All right, the big Christmas Eve show. John Chaney, 4:30. We're gonna pick up the midget and the digit.
Come on, man. I need a ride. It's cold out here.
Hey, the midget and the digit. Come on in.
Thanks. I got a show to do, you know, man?
Hey guys.
Yo.
Where's your hats? Where are your mittens? Where's your scarf?
What's wrong with me establishing some discipline on my team by saying put your hat, your coat on, and your gloves on, and put up an umbrella when it's raining?
Man, you guys know the rules. No hats, no starts. You guys are sitting.
That's not right, Neil.
And you guys can go right to the green room. And next time, don't forget your hat.
Christmas Eve and everything. He comes off the bench.
It was a great line. I hope you didn't miss it, by Mike Kern, a.k.a. the midget, saying, I hate coming off the bench. But they are starters here tonight, and we are here every Christmas
Second
Eve.
half starters.
Second half starter. No, you were here from the beginning. We got Dick Jerardi and also Mike Kern, along with John Chaney. I'm Neil Hartman.
Why am I the
Welcome
midget?
to Dodge Daily News Live as we
am I
bring
the
you
midget?
for the 8th straight year, John Chaney on Christmas Eve for 90 minutes. I'm checking out the emails here. I know some of you had some very opinionated comments about some of the things that John Chaney had to say, but you know what? It is an opportunity for him to express whatever his views are. We invite him here every year. We know that at times he's going to say something controversial, something that maybe some of you don't agree with, but you know what? We still love you. Even though you could be a curmudgeon towards me, I still love you.
You could be a curmudgeon?
I tell you this, anybody who would suggest that I lied about Bush.
Oh, we're not going down there again.
No, anybody.
Yes.
I will bet my life
Yes.
that everything I've said about him was the truth. So anybody, any religious zealot or blackneck that would call you and say that to you, believe me, I'll attack him with all my, every bone in my body.
And I'll tell you what, for one, a man who's about to be 73, man, you are one healthy man. You are still passionate. I love that about you. All right, Terrell Owens. Now, you know, one thing. You know what? Do we have that video of when he was at practice with Andy Reid? You know, you gave a talk to the guy. This was, I think, in 2002 when you went over there. You haven't been there recently.
Andy's his man.
Andy's your guy, though. Have you talked to Andy recently?
No, I haven't talked with him recently. I just know he's a great coach without question, and I thought his first year was his greatest year. I really do. I think it set the stage.
When they lost.
When they lost,
right.
That set the stage. Like I said, the rules, the roles, everything, the discipline, everything that he went through in his first year puts him where he is right now in the driver's seat.
John. He's disciplined. He's locked in. He does what he never changes.
Yeah.
He's your guy.
That answered your question about when you look at coaches.
Yep.
There is one strand that runs through all great coaches, and you find that in Coach Reid. I don't care
you know
what
he's like Paterno. He's like Chaney, Andy Reid in many ways. And here's a younger guy in his mid-40s that, here's bringing back kind of the old school, the way these guys
The difference is he has a real offense, unlike Coach Chaney and Coach Paterno. His offense is
look at that.
From some
look at DJ.
prehistoric.
What?
He's coming right at you.
John and I, we've talked about this many times.
Offense, John.
4 assists a game.
I just can't figure out what kind of defense they play.
All right, what about T.O.? When you heard that T.O., were you watching the game by any chance when T.O. went down?
No.
You weren't. So when you heard the T.O., and have you've seen this injury? You've seen it.
Yeah.
So now that the fact that they're saying he might come back, and here you have Grant Hill the other day saying, oh boy, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Dr. Myerson. He did 2 operations on my leg and my ankle, and I ended finally going in 2003 to Duke and got it all done correctly. But now T.O., they're saying he might come back. He's going to try 7 weeks from when he got the injury, if they get to the Super Bowl.
I don't think that he's going to be able to. See, I always look at one word when you talk about the difference one player or this player or those players can make. He can't come back and make a significant difference. Just can't.
Yeah, I'm with John. I don't think he's coming back, and even if he does, he's not going to be himself. I don't know what. It's a nice thing to give people hope, but it's really a false hope.
I think that Coach Reid is planning to go on and move ahead. There's
They're
no
not
way.
counting on him.
And the fact is, if you win 2 playoff games without him, and you get to the Super Bowl and he's still not.
Well, the argument is that you'd be facing a much tougher team in the Super Bowl.
I understand
clearly.
that, but the argument would be that he might not be ready.
Yeah,
and if he,
I just fused 2 bones together.
I don't see it.
I don't see how that's
didn't you go through that once? Not at the end of the season, but with Pepe, right? I mean, you almost redshirted Pepe his senior year because you kept trying to bring him back. It just wasn't working.
Yeah. Well, he had a high ankle sprain, but he, in his situation, he's going to have a pin in there, and that's going to be a problem from the standpoint of him doing the things that's needed, and he will not be effective enough. Even if he was standing on the field and you had to put 2 people on him, or there's no way anybody's going. And then he might end up coming back and he becomes a target for anybody else and to end his career.
Now, the Monday night when T.O. and Nicolette Sheridan and their little skit, have you seen that skit? Before the start of Monday Night Football, the Desperate Housewives one?
I'm sure
you're a big Desperate Housewives fan. But this whole skit here with Nicolette Sheridan, did you see this when it went on the air, John?
No.
You've never seen this? You haven't seen it?
What were you doing? What is she doing?
Well, keep watching.
She's in the locker room?
Yeah, well, this was an open. This was a tease for the start of Monday Night Football. And you haven't seen this?
She's trying to get Owens to go out with her, and he said he's got a game to play.
See, that's buying bad behavior right there. We're paying for that.
Major.
See, now what happened was, now a lot of people agree. A lot of people agree with you on that. See, you're not alone there. A lot of people are 100% behind you, saying that was too racy to be put on at 9 o'clock on Monday night, or 6 o'clock on the West Coast for that matter.
We didn't see the ending. We'd be racing for 6 o'clock.
We decided we'd cut it at 6. Yeah.
But
people had problems.
She dropped the towel and jumped into his arms.
Yeah. Oh, here you go. You want to see the end? Here you go. DJ, you asked for it, you get it.
Here you go, John.
But a lot of people had a problem with this, John.
My God. Oh, what a lucky man he is.
Wait a minute. In one breath, you're saying that you don't approve of it, and then you say that comment?
I'm saying that that's one of the many things that we're looking at right now that needs to be corrected from the standpoint of having to entertain somebody. You're entertaining people, and you keep raising the ante to the point where you're pushing the button on everything now. I'm not just talking about that being. I mean, I'm just saying we're pushing the button on just about everything.
There's no question. It's always being pushed by. I think we're pushing the button a little bit here on this show. Let's be honest, all right? Hey, don't look at me like that.
Well, you might be pushing the button.
When we come back, we're going to take a news update. We'll be doing that with Lance Crawford in just a moment with Wachovia Sports Site coming up at 6:30. And we'll also be doing Flash Frame. That's a tough word to say. Flash Frame with John Chaney. We'll be back with our Christmas Eve edition of Daily News Live, presented by Dodge.
Some of the cars are not complete, and there have been little pipes leaking.
We do it every year, John. You always look at me like, where are you coming?
What is?
You say the first thing you're going to look
There's
at
a picture coming up on TV.
You're going to read it out.
Yeah, we'll tell you.
See who it is.
We'll tell you.
We'll tell you who it is.
Yeah, you're going to
announce.
look at the picture.
Like one year we said John Calipari popped up and you said cheater.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't say that.
Oh, did I?
We got the tape.
I said he's a friend.
Okay, well, let's
We have
see.
the tape.
All right, John, can you see the monitor all right here? Okay, here we go. We're going to do our Flash Frame. First thing that comes to your mind, just spout it out. Here is our first Flash Frame. It is Al McGuire.
What a great guy. Great guy. A man that was filled with a great deal of basketball and passion for people.
You said you loved him, but you never could figure him out.
Never could.
Never could.
But you got one of his Minutemen, right?
Got one of his, one of the, there was
soldiers?
few of us that he sent, just before he passed away, he sent a few guys his Minutemen.
Collection of
made
Minutemen,
of pewter,
Right.
which is outstanding. He was a garage collector and rode on a motorcycle. Now, I couldn't understand that. And he should tell a story about him falling off the motorcycle. And you had to get out. You had to get up and get out of the way real quick, even though your leg was broken, because the motorcycle has a tendency to keep going around, kicking your ass as you know, when you hit the ground.
I certainly hope someone's on the bleep button tonight.
But Al always said that.
He's been on his best behavior.
Yes, he has.
Way worse.
I've noticed a couple times he's,
It's been close.
yeah, close. All right, let's go to our next Flash Frame. Can you see that? Wearing the Harlem Globetrotters, Wilt Chamberlain.
The most magnificent basketball player that ever breathed a breath.
Let's go to the next one. It is Bill Russell.
One of the greatest defensive players, if not the very best defensive player ever.
Now to what a great year he had last year. Now in the NBA, Jameer Nelson.
One of our great college players of all time in this city. Point guard.
Disappointed you never got him?
Point guard. I didn't have a chance because he was practicing at St. Joe all the time, even as a baby. His mama rolled a wheelchair in there.
That's your buddy Phil Martelli, huh?
Every time I looked up, Phil had a bottle of milk in his mouth. Cheating.
All right.
Cheating.
Let's go to the next one, which is John Wooden. You call him Wooten a lot of times, but it's Wooden. John Wooden, the legend.
A man who just was filled with passion for the game and perhaps the greatest college coach that ever lived.
Here, here. To John Calipari. We put him in every year.
Friend and foe.
Come on. You feel
Friend
more
and
than...
foe. Don't put words in my mouth. Friend and foe.
John
covers
is
it all. Friend and foe.
John is saving all his venom for
I do things for juvenile diabetes for him. You know,
He opened up
fundraising
his
for
first
him.
game in Memphis. John went down and beat him.
I know you did.
I'm
buried
just
the hatchet.
teasing you.
Well, stop it.
Let's go next to a
no
man.
Republican.
You had such glowing comments about this man the other day. Bill Conlon.
Stick to baseball, write about baseball, and stay out of the cold and get a hat for your big head.
He wore a hat on the air the other day.
Yeah, why did he wear a hat?
Because you told him to. Because you told everybody it's cold out there. You don't want to get a cold. Wear a
Is that
hat.
why he put it on?
Yes.
But you got to also realize this,
Yeah.
that I'm establishing discipline on my team, the kind of things that Dick and I talked about. Discipline.
Right.
This man would much prefer my kids to go after me and beat me up. I'm the boss.
Yes, you are. Boy, have we learned that. Billy Packer is the next one. Billy Packer.
ACC, very prejudiced, lives and dies with Wake Forest and the ACC.
intellectually dishonest, you called him last year.
Intellectually dishonest. That's true.
Yeah, what does that mean? Intellectually dishonest.
That means people who are very smart have no right to be dishonest because they know right from wrong. They're intelligence. You know, you have great intellect. There's no reason for you to vote for Bush.
I knew it was coming back to that. I knew it was coming back to that. And finally,
Karl Rove is the ultimate intellectually dishonest person.
according to John. Here's our final one. Oh, Blue Eyes.
Your man.
Your man. Listen, let's just listen here.
This is the part in the program where we sing a drunk song.
Oh, you can go ahead and sing, John. Sing.
Songs are usually done in small bars and bistros.
Nobody
Wee hours of the morning.
but me and you.
Now, why Frank Sinatra? Why do you love Frank Sinatra as much as you
I come
do?
from an era where there was always men who did things for people without having to raise their hands and say, look what I did, or look what I'm doing for you. They never expected a present or never expected a gift from anybody. What he did for one of the most magnificent boxers of all time, Joe Louis, who had fought so many fights, and at that time he was fighting like 4 or 5, 6 or 7. In fact, one year he was fighting a bum a month, they call it.
Bum of the month.
Bum of the month. And he got in trouble with naturally because people were robbing him, taking his money, so he owed the IRS so much money you can't imagine. And this man stood out and put his arms around him, paid all his bills, and looked after him until he died. Not once did he raise his hand and say, look what I did. He did so many other things for so many people, it's unbelievable.
But Frank was cool, though, too. Frank was cool.
He was a cool man. He could sing and have a cigarette in his mouth and don't lose a note.
Excuse me while I disappear?
Excuse me. That's what I'm going to say when I leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to sing a song and I'm going to say, excuse me while I disappear. And I'm never coming back. You'll never see me again. Never. Never.
We'll see you at 9th at the Italian market. You'll still be roaming around there,
Yeah,
right?
I'll go by the Italian markets down there to my buddies down at Fiorella's, Giordano's, Canoli's, all the guys.
John, tell him about cooking corn in a microwave, man, like you did for me.
Yeah, that's it. But you got to get the best corn, that white corn that comes out in July and August.
Oh,
you know,
that's sweet.
Silver Queen. Like Jersey used to have some of the best, but we get it from Lancaster now. And what you do, you shred it. I mean, just take the husk off and just take the little silk out and put the leaves back on it. Put it in some water and take a paper towel and wrap around and sit it in some water just for a couple of minutes or maybe less. Stick it in your microwave and for about 5 minutes. And when you come out, you can leave the stem on it. Come out and the leaves come off. Tastes so good. Tastes like there's butter on it. Tastes so good, make you want to slap your mama.
I was with him last year. He Mark Jackson and I were in his office.
Is it good?
And it was great. He had the chicken and the corn. I'm going, John, that's not possible. John said, just wait. But he was right.
Unbelievable.
Wasn't the chicken that you were keeping in the coffee warmer, like, were you?
Oh, why don't you stop it? Don't be knocking on my door. Stop knocking on my door. I didn't want to come out. People were asking for this and asking for that.
John,
I stay in my room.
What do you love most about Philadelphia and Philadelphians?
Well, I think one of the things is that the people here are very special in terms of what they feel about this town. This is a slow town. It's not a fast town like New York. It's local. Even William Penn, who was responsible for making small streets and setting up communities the way we have it, to be able to go from one community to another. I love that. I love that. Even the food, you can pick out areas in the city where you can say, well, if you want Italian food, you go here. If you want tripe, you go here. You want pork, you go here.
You go up to
you got places where you can go and you can do that. And New York is just like, wow, you know, you're overwhelmed. Here it's local and it's friendly. It's a very, very country place to be. Very friendly. I don't think we'll ever lose that. It's just that we've been trained to be very bad people as far as sports are concerned. and voted. No, we didn't vote for Bush, did we?
No, we didn't. 500,000 plus in the city for Kern.
We
I'm not going down that road again. By the way,
you're not.
So you were no factor anyway. New Jersey went for
By the way, someone did say, when did Michael Moore become the head coach of Temple Owls? Just thought I'd...
Michael Moore
that was
told
from-
the truth.
That was from John in Bordentown.
Whoever sent that, no, but if John
Time to
sent
go
that
watch
to
the
you,
movie again.
hey, tell him he's got to stop denying the truth because Michael Moore put Bush on there. The only thing he didn't put in this film is when Bush stood up before all of the writers and stood up and made it a joke of looking underneath the table,
weapons.
picking up the things like this, and everybody in the audience had the nerve to laugh when he said, "No weapons of mass destruction. No weapons of mass destruction." Now you tell me, how can you make a joke? Michael Moore didn't have that in his film, but I saw that, and I saw all those people in the black ties who are all newspaper people, news writers, on his night when he's making a joke about the death of our kids. Now that's a damn shame.
By the way, let me just lighten it up here for a moment. You are...
Can't lighten that up.
No.
It's Christmas Eve.
I understand.
And these people in this country need to realize they made the worst mistake in the history of this country by putting him in office
All
again.
right, let me change gears for a moment. Let me switch gears. Your car.
What about-
Have you put your car on
My
eBay
car is
again?
going to be on eBay. It's a 2004 car, Crossfire.
Is this a Lexus you're putting?
Crossfire.
Asking for $41,000. You want to give me 42? You can have it.
No, I'll give you 30.
Oh no, I'm not coming up with
It doesn't
30.
have a spare tire. That's why he keeps getting flat tires.
You keep getting flat tires with your car?
Yeah.
So this is the
It's got
second
no
time. I
home
think it's
the other
important to note. It's the second time you're putting a
I
car...
know in 2 months, and the tires are like $300, and 3As won't come out and,
Why do you
and
keep
fix
getting
it flat.
tires?
I don't know. Probably I'm going into Bush's territory. He's probably puncturing them.
When we come back, we are going to see the lighter side.
neighborhood you live
the warm side of John Chaney, a man we know and love. Yes, I see the emails. He has his opinions. He is entitled to
Don't make
his
excuses for me.
opinions. And we are all entitled to our opinions.
Let me
on this
have those,
Christmas
let me
Eve.
have them.
We will continue. We're going to open
Let me have
presents
'em.
when we get back on Dodge Daily News Live.
Let me have those races. Let me have them.
Here you go.
Let me
By
have
the way,
'em.
he said, right here, his ram. That's a good day, right? Good. Thank you very much. Now, our email question. Remember the question we asked earlier to all the people, all these emails right here? Here's the question, okay? On Drill Sergeant. ComcastSportsNet.com, our question of the day. If John Chaney had not gone into coaching or teaching, he would have been, and the number one response is a drill sergeant.
Ty salesman was you, though.
Ty salesman, 23%. Public relations director. Good luck to that firm. 16%.
They got no public
6% wine connoisseur. 5% a ear, nose, and throat doctor. That is our email question of the day. A drill sergeant for John. He's smiling. He's smiling. All right, this is gift time. Let's see. Mike Kern, you want to go first? Mike Kern goes first.
No, let me go first.
Oh, hey,
Let me go
you're the drill sergeant. Who am I to tell you not to go first?
Let me go first.
All right.
But you don't get the first pick.
No, I don't get the first pick. I don't expect that.
I don't know if Republicans should get any picks, John.
You may be right about that, but I might have to. Let's look at the back of his neck, see if he's a black neck. Understand?
Oh, man.
Wow, look at all these ties.
Wow.
Now, a lot of times you come with Armani
My
ties.
annual tie.
right?
Gucci.
Yeah.
What is that?
So you got all these nice ties.
What is that?
That's a Donna Karen.
Donna Karen.
Yeah, all these nice ties.
Yeah.
All right, so who are you going to give
There's a
first? The
Gucci.
digit or the midget goes first?
I thought I had that one.
No.
I usually get the first.
That's,
pick.
You deserve the
DJ
first
always
choice.
goes first?
That's Gucci. That's.
Now, are these ties, have you worn any of these, John?
No, I've never worn these.
What happened to the collection you used to give to Kern? Have you still given those? The
He doesn't give ties out when he loses
I don't give
anymore
mine.
because he doesn't have enough ties.
Oh, that's...
I stopped doing it.
All right, so
That's what got
we're
wrinkled
going to
up
have,
in there.
because we only have about 5 minutes left in the show.
All right, get it.
So
DJ.
we're going to have DJ select one of those here.
Yeah.
Can you push that down to DJ?
To the jockeys.
Okay. Now, here.
This is
DJ,
for you.
now this is for you.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Yeah,
And this is for you.
Oh,
Because-
a little bottle.
Well, you wouldn't drink the big bottle I
Okay.
gave you last
Because
year.
last year we gave you a big bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 150 years old.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I don't drink.
I know, you just look at it.
Here, we'll move this down to here,
I'm
okay?
in.
There we go. All right, why don't you open up? You can open that up now? Here we
Do
go.
I need to open them up? Shouldn't I be
why not?
surprised?
And you got the guys picking their ties right
want
there.
here.
Look at that. Look
I
at
think we're
Dick,
gonna take
look
a
at
good
Dick
one for the
Jerardi's tie that he selected.
Dick going to pick out something
It's a very nice tie, Dick.
ostentatious.
Well, I usually go the conservative route.
Now, Mike Kern, is that a John Chaney tie that you're wearing
This
tonight?
is one of the first ones you ever gave me, yeah.
That's Luciano Barbera? Who's that? Oh, no, that's a special one I got at a Barney's in New York.
I've had this for a while.
Here we go. John is opening Mike Kern's gift from also DJ. Look at that.
Oh,
now
Tommy
turn it
Cross,
around
Frank
and show
Sinatra.
everybody what it is. Turn it right this way, John. See, now everyone can see. There you go.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra.
You were only like about 18 years old then, John. It was 1947. It's a concert from
Oh,
1947.
man, that's great, man.
You were
That's
15.
my guy.
You were 15 at that time.
That's my guy, man.
All right, now open this one up. Here we go.
Thanks.
Just like everybody's going to be opening up presents on Christmas Day.
Your bowl, man. You might need it for
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we might need that. I'll hold on to that.
Recycle that photo.
Yeah.
By the way, as we keep going on here, I think I'll check out. There you go, Coach. You got another one. Coach, you're the greatest on email. That's coming from Shelley in Philadelphia. Says you're the greatest, by the way.
Shelley?
Shelley in
Oh,
Philadelphia.
I get a lot of cards from her. She's a very good
Well,
person.
she just sent nice
named
email
the same-
for you.
Her name is the same as my
Okay, now what is
my
Mike Kern
sister.
doing? What is this?
It's a keepsake ornament
Wow.
of your. Now press the button in the back. There's a button in the back.
Right here. Right here.
Press that.
Press that.
Where'd you get that? That is gorgeous, man.
I love that.
Oh, man.
You can sing in the car
He
now.
was young then, man. He was.
My wife's going to like this. I can put this on the Christmas tree. This is...
Your wife, by the way, we should say, Mrs. Chaney, one of the nicest people on the face of the earth.
Huh?
Your wife, she's one of the nicest people, and you won't let anybody ever see her.
I know, because she spends all my money all the time.
No, she's a wonderful woman. I've only met her once. I met her once at
Did
the
you
team
meet my
bank.
wife?
At the team bank.
Well,
with your whole
she's not allowed
family.
to talk to Republicans.
Your whole family,
Not
I
allowed.
talked to them. They're wonderful people.
If the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, you know where I'm going to be that night? I'm going to be at your house. I'm going to watch a game with
The
you.
Eagles?
I'm going to watch a game with you and write a story.
Wow.
You're not allowed to come to my house.
Yeah.
I tried one time.
Here we go.
My house
Now,
is sacred.
here's-
That's the big thing
This
on
is
top.
from the fine folks here at
From here?
Daily News Live, from our show.
Did you have anything to do with it?
Yeah, a little bit. But here's the thing, John. I think
Change your mind.
Keep opening. We only got 2 minutes in the show.
Oh, okay.
Here's the
too late,
important thing to
Johnny.
point out.
We can't do
that
it.
John has started picking up golf. Is that true?
That is true.
Here, let me help
That's
you.
the hardest.
I'll do it.
That's the hardest game in the world, man.
Bruiser plays.
All right.
Bruiser, I can beat Bruiser. He's easy.
Phil plays.
Bruiser.
Here we go.
Franny's good. Franny's
So,
good.
I know I'm
Franny's
not playing
good.
Franny.
for the last few
I'm not
weeks,
playing people better than
Look
me.
at this.
man, my wife wrapped this. Man, this thing is. Good job on my wife, Lauren.
Oh, your wife?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
She's a Democrat.
She's going to go straight to heaven fooling around with you. Oh, man.
Here you go. It is the Tiger Woods
free DVD
set. You're going to learn from the best right now. We've been giving these out the last few weeks. This one we thought, what else can we give John Chaney? He's addicted to golf right now. Now you're going to watch
addicted.
Tiger. You're going to watch the best player in the world play golf.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
I mean, these are lessons?
I think in there too. There's lessons in his whole life.
History of Tiger.
And the history of him.
Shows all his great
Yeah,
championships
you're going
and
to
stuff.
enjoy that now.
Oh, yeah?
John, we have
You
30
learned something
seconds.
from Tiger, John.
John, thank you.
I know. I thought I was going to learn something from Bill Tilden, too. He was a great tennis player, but they arrested him for being a pedophile.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
On that note.
And on that note, Merry Christmas, everyone. John Chaney, thank you. We look forward to next year. Thank you for joining us on Dodge Daily News Live. For Dick Jerardi, Mike Kern, John Chaney, I'm Neil Hartman. Don't forget
Put that
Wachovia
back
Sports
in
Night
there.
coming
Yeah,
up
man.
next with Lance Crawford. See you later on.
A lot of people didn't know that.